So what's happening is you're basically preparing for an interview. So in the last units, we've discussed your application process, and now you've kind of got to imagine yourself sat in front of an interviewer, ready to go. So the first part of this unit is about researching the industry, and a little bit of it is about researching the employer, and sort of showing how your skills match those that the employer wants. A difficult point in interviews is often when interviewers ask for your understanding of the industry, understanding of the company, and ask you to sort of speak. So it's useful to have in your background a little bit of an idea, almost like a pre-prepared plan. So what we're going to do today is we're going to just look at this, which is identify the key issues that affect the chosen industry. Now, all I really want us from today is really by the end of the session, hopefully about 20 minutes, that we've created a really decent answer for our worksheet 3. So this is worksheet 3 of unit 25. So before we go any further, can you just go into your files and find that for me, please? I'm just going to pause the recording, and I'm just going to give you a minute to find, well, I'll give you a minute and a half to find that for me. Okay, so hopefully you've had time to find the worksheet for me. So it's asking us to look at key issues that affect our chosen industry. So our industry is health and fitness, and the employer that we will be considering is the gym group. My internet's just about to go out, so I'm just I may move you. So let me just clear this off, and so what you should have is this worksheet, and on the right hand side it asks you to consider what are the key issues that affect the company, including notes about the impact on business. So apologies, I think something dropped out there. Let's go back. Sorry, the internet was going a bit bonkers. Okay. Hang on. Okay, here we are. Okay, so apologies for that. So what you've got is this screen here. And what it's asking you to consider is the issues that are going to affect your chosen industry. So what I want you to first do, I'm going to just ask you to, well, no, actually, I'll do it in front of my screen, and then you can sort of have a look at what we're faced with. So I'm just going to give a new share. So I'll just stop that share, and I'm just going to get the gym group's website up. Where's it gone? No. Okay, right, here we are. Okay, so this is who you're going to do your placements with. So this is the gym group, and I don't know if anyone has had much to do with the gym group, but they're quite an interesting company. So the other task I'm going to get you to do is to do a little bit more research about the gym group. But they're quite interesting. They've got around 170 clubs, so they're big. This gives you a lot of opportunities in terms of moving up into the management roles. It means that there's potential to work around within the company, maybe change your position and grow as the company grows. It's got a lot of it works on a sort of, I wouldn't say a budget model, but a low cost model. So the the traditional gym model used to have a, maybe a fitness club as part of its kind of work. Quite often you find a swimming pool, you'd have beauty rooms, a members bar, all these kind of little add-ons. And a lot of these low-cost gyms have realized that actually a lot of people after work, they often just want to go, they want to do their workout and go. People using a health club in the morning, often trying to squeeze it in before they go to work. They just want to go, have a shower, and clear off. So things like jacuzzis, things like saunas, all this stuff just adds costs, and actually a lot of the members weren't using it. So these type of low cost gyms were really created to kind of bring the cost down and kind of strip away those little extras. So they're an interesting organization. The first thing that you're going to do in one of your other tasks is to look at when they started, how quickly they grew, and they only started around 12 years ago, and already they've got 170 clubs, so it's a pretty big thing. Now, what I want us to think about today is really what issues are facing the industry, and just start to make a couple of notes about why you think they are issues. What threats do you think there are to the industry? So this is who you're working with. There are, as I say, 175 gyms, mostly southeast, or a lot southeast based. So there's lots of opportunities in and around London, major towns and cities as well. There's tons of these places around. The equipment they have is really good, nice modern equipment. Um, the facilities that they'll have are probably a bit more stripped back, but generally quite clean and pleasant. They work a lot on the 24-hour model. So a lot of gyms are open 24 hours, and they often don't have things like receptionists. They won't have someone looking after the gym on hand a lot of the time out of hours. They'll have CCTVs. They'll have a key code entry system. So a lot of it is, very very new to the industry. That model is quite unique. So the other thing they offer is free classes. Other gyms of fitness, yeah. So they also offer free classes, and the other thing they have is they don't really have contracts. So if you went down to my local David Lloyd and you wanted to join, you'd pay a certain amount a month, but you couldn't have a 4-month membership. You sign up to a 12-month contract. And so these gyms work on a kind of a low cost entry, and a relatively easy exit. So I think what I want you to consider is what issues are affecting the industry as a whole. So I'm going to just go back to my presentation. Where's it gone? So here we are. So what I'd like you to do is just in the chat box, I want you to just tell me, you can almost sort of provide it as a threat. What threats are there to the industry at the moment? So this gym has been booming. They've got 175 clubs. They plan to open 15 to 20 clubs each year. They've got a lovely business model. People really accept that it's kind of no frills. It's a bit like the Ryanair or the EasyJet of gyms, isn't it? They just cut away the, the frill, and leave you with the core product that you want. So what are the issues that are affecting the company and that industry at the moment? So can you give me in chat box just things that you think need to be considered as threats to the industry at the moment? Okay, just keep them coming in. So you must have so on the next slide, I'm going to just present some issues that I've thought of. So here we've got what I think are the key issues in the health and fitness industry at the minute, that act like threats. And I think some of you have put in some quite nice ideas into the chat box. I think number one is what's going to happen with COVID-19 and coronavirus business. Um, Certainly, um, in terms of the current, um, it's a difficult landscape to live within. Just the uncertainty about when gyms can open up, and I think it's been a really interesting industry the way that everyone's responded. Actually, clubs have gone from being entirely club based to providing online workouts that cover every hour of the day, and some of them have done amazing things. And I think that's quite an important sort of thing to present back to the industry and salute them for, because it's been quite impressive. Um, I think Ash mentioned this in his on the chat box actually, that the growth, the apps are really big, and it ties into two and three are very closely marketed together. Certainly, home fitness is becoming a real thing. People are starting to work at home much more. Um, and so the idea of sort of dropping by a gym on the way home is no longer such an important thing. People are kind of having a much more flexible approach to their work, and more people are accessing home apps, home workout systems much more. It's a huge business. Something that's done really well is Peloton, which provides that sort of group cycle environment in a home. So you can buy a bike outright and then subscribe to their app. You can even hire a bike, which includes an app subscription as well. But effectively, you stick your headphones on, you have a screen. Why would you go to a gym to go to your spin class? And a year's subscription to the Peloton app and buying a bike, in some cases, is the same cost as quite an expensive gym membership. So um, it's taking away members from gyms effectively. So I would consider that to be a real growth. The other thing is this use of technology. So what sort of technology are people likely to be using more and more? What have been big growth areas in technology? Probably app-based tech. What are things? What are people using in the fitness industry now? Anyone? Yeah, I just had a couple in on the private chat. Yeah, to lots of people are using much more things like sort of sharing apps, things like Strava, also various types of GPS running trackers where people are kind of getting back into that outdoor fitness, and actually the popularity of that kind of sort of sharing idea is again getting people out of gyms, which should be a good thing. But from an industry perspective, it does present a threat. So the more and more people use this kind of technology outside of a gym, the greater threat it presents to the membership within a gym. So perhaps gym owners need to embrace that technology and start creating a more kind of interactive experience. I know in David Lloyd Club's Blaze, the Blaze class they run works with heart rate monitors linked to a central screen. People can sort of track their heart rate, they can track their calorie count, you can see how hard everyone's working. It's quite sort of shareable afterwards. You can track your progress in apps. There's some really good stuff being done. Number four, we've still got 25% of our population are classed as inactive. So whilst we have lots of sort of fun kind of high energy classes, sometimes a little bit of the skill in being a fitness trainer is changing behaviour and getting people just active, and um, bringing activity back into their lifestyle, because that's something that has a huge impact on your health. We might also consider safeguarding responsibility. So gym owners now are being much more responsible for um, ensuring that members are safe in the premises, that their information is safe, that there's people, if people raise complaints or concerns about other members, that those complaints or concerns are followed up in the appropriate channels. So instructors and gym managers need to know that responsibility inside out. And then lastly, we've got this idea that there's a large amount of competition from other low-cost providers. So in terms of the issues presented by the gym group, I'm going to dig into this COVID-19. I'm going to get you to write something on COVID-19, and then I'm going to get you to look into one of those other topics. And I just want you to create brief notes for your interview. So let's press on. So I guess really, if I asked you to mention what's going to happen with this COVID-19, is number one, we don't know when we're going to be allowed back in gyms in their current form. I mean, a few have opened up. I know I keep talking about David Lloyd, but the gyms that are lucky enough to have outdoor space, some of them have put on classes outdoors. So we've got some sort of spin bikes in sort of car parks, even in some places. So there's a few measures that have taken place, but there's going to be a kind of an increased requirement for social distancing, which in a class is really difficult, in a changing room is really difficult, in any space where you've got people exercising in high intensity, sharing breath and sweat, it becomes a real difficult environment to manage. So people are going to become much more wary of sharing that space and also wary of sharing that equipment. I was doing a gym instructor exam on someone just as we went into lockdown, and it was really awkward because there was one instructor instructing to a client, and the client insisted on basically sort of spraying down every piece of equipment fully before everything was done. So the whole thing took far longer than it normally would, and it was really awkward. And so I wonder if it's going to be a different environment when we return. So people are going to be less likely to want to attend sessions in these kind of confined or closed spaces. And we also have to be aware that there may be this second wave. So there could almost be another possibility that we could go back and then there's another lockdown. So it presents this very strange challenge to the industry. So what I want you to do, I'm going to leave that up. And what I want you to do, I want you to create for me a rough answer that you're going to add to your worksheet on why you think COVID-19 is a key issue for the fitness industry. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your issue on you'll take a rough answer, because you're going to write this up later. So issue number one is essentially, it can be the fitness industry's response to COVID-19. So your evidence and key information, really, I'm not looking for evidence and key information as such. I just want you to present what are the key issues are related to that COVID-19. So what you're going to do is you're going to talk about how social distancing may make exercise spaces much harder to be in, how people might be less likely to want to come to gyms, how things like classes may have to change. There might be a growth in outdoor fitness as on the back of it. But essentially, I just want you to write your thoughts and ideas about how that current response is going to impact the industry. So I'm going to give you 15 minutes to put something together. If you're happy with your idea, just write it into your worksheet, get it straight in there. But I just want you to start noting down your thoughts. So you're explaining One, that COVID-19 and the coronavirus is a key issue affecting the fitness industry. You're then describing what the issues are, how it's going to affect the industry, and what problems you foresee. Okay? So that's your job. I'm going to pause my recording and let you get on that, but I'm going to remain in the chat box um, to should you need me. So hopefully you've had enough time to complete that. So Ash has come back and said, actually, one thing I didn't consider actually is also just how some people it's been quite a challenging time anyway. I've probably concentrated more on the social distancing aspect of the changes, but also in terms of people getting out of habits. One of the things that's really key within the fitness industry is when people join your club is getting them into a habit of attending, making it part of their life to make sure they stay with you. And one of the things actually, if people are essentially kind of locked down or quarantined, is actually maybe in terms of just motivation, things start to change. So people may be sort of depressed, or they might lose that sort of dip. Um, and certainly getting back into that exercising habit is quite difficult. The other thing also maybe is in terms of just people's jobs, as people's livelihoods are threatened. People have less spare cash. When times are good, you don't really think much about spending money on a gym, and when people have to start cutting back, it's often one of the first things that people have to kind of rationalize on. So yeah, I've seen a couple come in on chat box, so I'm happy that you're getting some good stuff down there. Now, the next bit might be a little bit harder, maybe, because I want you to consider your own version. Now, I've got an example of how I would attack the growth of this home fitness. It's kind of a little bit tied into this COVID-19, isn't it? In a way, it's been a perfect time to be in that home fitness market. Really, it's really shown the possibilities and how you can integrate it into your normal life. So what I've got on the screen here. So you've hopefully got enough information to fill in issue 1. So I'm kind of choosing it for you. For your second issue, you can choose anything you like. I've got some ideas on the screen here. So things like the growth of the home fitness market, use of technology, how you integrate it into your workouts, the general inactivity of people, safeguarding responsibilities of gyms, and then also competition from other low-cost providers. So I'm going to just show you how I'd put it together for my second issue. So if I were using home fitness, for example, I would explain that the home fitness market has had a huge growth. So home fitness has really grown, and there are figures available. So if you wanted to research this, if you wanted to go to the next level, you can find stats on the growth of the home fitness market over the last 5 years or the last year. Just something to sort of pad out your work. Certainly something that's really grown for me is how apps are now much more sophisticated. Is that I find it's quite common actually to see in gyms people with their phone on the floor and being guided through like an ab workout. And really the reality is a lot of the time people could just do quite a lot of that stuff at home. So the key issue, if you like, the key issue affecting the fitness industry is how to get people to kind of get back into the gym. You know, maybe they themselves provide aspects of the home workouts people have. It's a challenge. So the more that people have that professional guidance at home, the more likely they are to stay away from the gym, if you like. Um, so yeah, so I think I'd add to this about some stats about the home market, but then importantly, don't just present it as a challenge. You know, I put at the bottom, can you think of benefits of a gym versus home, and how you could sell that gym experience? And I've already got something on the chat box about how not everyone has that workout space suitable. Certainly from a de-stressing perspective, it's sometimes it's nice to kind of get yourself out of that house. I know something I felt, you know, in the lockdown, is that actually just being out and away from my home is a really nice sort of stress relieving thing. In the same way that, you know, once you finish work, sometimes, you know, you need that kind of third space. There's a gym group called Third Space, and it's exactly that you have your home, work, and your gym is your kind of third space. It's where you go to relax and enjoy yourself. So um I think there's lots you can add in, um and also much more sort of specialist equipment that gyms can provide, you know, really heavy stuff that is very difficult to get in that home workout environment. So what I want you to do is I want you to create now your second issue. Now, what I'm going to get you to do, whether you do a rough version or whether you write it directly into your worksheet, I'm going to give you 15 minutes and I'm going to get you to complete your issue number 2. And at the end of that 15 minutes, I just want you to take a snapshot of your work and just send it to me. Um, so so that I can just check over everything, make sure everything's good. So I'm going to give you in a second the list of potential topics. So these are the list of potential topics. So I want you to just make a note of ones that you feel confident writing about and researching. So just make a note of the issue that you're going to choose. Remember, you've done COVID-19 or coronavirus. So just choose one. So growth of the home fitness market, use of technology, the general population inactivity, safeguarding responsibilities of gyms and spaces, and then competition from other low-cost providers. So I'm going to leave this up to give you an example of the structure you can take. So essentially, if I was discussing the growth of the home fitness market, I would say the home fitness market is booming, and I try and give some form of a statistic to show how much it's grown over the last few years. Explain how accessible apps have become. Maybe give examples of really popular ones like Peloton. There's a number of really good yoga apps as well, so people don't have to sort of fight to get in classes anymore. And just explain what impact that could have on the business. I then want you to give some ideas about how the gym or the group could respond. What opportunities does it give for that provider? So if you're all happy with that, I'm going to just start my timer. I'm going to give you a good 15 minutes, and then I'm going to return, and I'm going to get you to share your work. Okay? So the clock is ticking and starting now. Any problems, just pop them in the chat box. So a person specification is a document that's used by an employer to create almost kind of a list of exactly the person that they want to hire. So in order to kind of just confirm within the organization exactly the qualifications that people need to do that job, um, the qualities that they need to do that job, the experience that they need to do that job. So you're essentially applying for a team member stroke fitness instructor role within the gym group. So what I've got in front of you is the person specification for that role. So what you see, I've just included the introduction to that. So the gym group are looking for a sales orientated team member, stroke fitness instructor to join the team. The gym group is a great value gym brand which is expanding around the country. The gym group are looking for someone with excellent customer service to be able to create an inspirational environment where people matter, results count, and a passion for excellence drives everything we do. Duties will include delivering our Kickstart inductions. I think that's slightly outdated now. Member interaction and maintaining clean and safe facilities. You will also be asked to get involved with teaching group exercise classes um, eventually. Our fitness team are also required to take a proactive role in reception, sales, such as outreach, in-reach sales calls, and retention activities. So what the group then do is create a list of what people have to have if they're to start in that role, and what it's desirable to have when they start in that role. So here, if you look under education and qualifications, these are the essential things that people have to have. So they have to hold a current recognized industry qualification in fitness instruction at level 2 or above, which is the one that you're doing. They also have to have evidence of child protection training. This could be any level. So we can organise that free nearer the time that you're qualified as well. That's not a problem. Desirable things, things that are kind of going to put you nearer the top of the pile, are also the things that are listed in that middle group there. So these are all desirable things. So it's desirable that you've been able to demonstrate CPD, so continuous professional development, so courses that you've kept doing along the way to update your skills. It's desirable that you've got a first aid at work. It's desirable that you have an indoor cycling or spin qualification. And it's also quite desirable if you've got an industry qualification in group exercise instruction. So it could be something like, I don't know, body pump or circuits or some sort of HIIT training, whatever. And the way that they measure it is just by looking at your application, what you've stated on your application, your interview, and any references that people have given. So the form here shows what you have to have, what is desirable to have, and then also how they're going to check it. So here, under skills, same sort of thing. So skills, they have to have all of these: good spoken and written English, ability to assess participants' readiness and ability to engage in physical activity, the ability to engage appropriately with all ages, genders, and ethnicity, and physically able to set up and clear equipment. So I think all of you have got that capacity. So again, it's desirable that you've got basic competence of email communication. It's desirable that you've got experience in kit inspection, housekeeping, and routine maintenance. Gym owners love people who get involved in cleaning and maintenance. It saves them a job. So that's essentially what the person specification is. You see there's other sections for attributes that people should have, and also quality of that, looking at just the quality of your application. So what I've done, I'll show you where it sits, is I've given you, where's it gone? So I've sent you a link to my presentation, and all the presentation does is it acts as a guide to talk you through task one. So task one, if you just see this, so task one is now in front of you. So what you're doing, so do you remember the worksheet job description or person specification? Well, that was here. So all you're going to do, and I talk through this in the presentation, is you find something that the person specification requests. You tell me how your skills match that, and then you give me evidence or examples of you having used that skill. So it's almost like you're preparing for your interview, because your interviewer is going to say, okay, give me an example of when you've been able to talk to people of different age groups, ethnicity and gender. Give me some examples of when you've talked to different groups in a professional setting. They might say, give me examples of when you've used email in a professional capacity. So you're essentially scrutinizing that person's specification, you're matching your skills, and then giving evidence and examples. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do is 25 past now. If you're sharp, you can just get straight into that job. If you're even sharper, you can watch my presentation before you start it. So what I'd like is I've sent you the link in the chat box. I've also just emailed you the link and the person's specification. So you should be able to access those two. I'll leave the person specification up on my screen here, but I want you to take that worksheet one, the person specification, and I want you to watch that YouTube link. The work really starts after about 4 minutes, so you can fast forward to there, and then the presentation is only 10 minutes max. So complete that work, and at the end, I'm going to get you to send back to me. So I'm going to give you 20 minutes to complete that, and then we're going to come back in at 10:02, and then we're going to discuss it, and then you're going to send me that work. Okay, so that's your job. The clock starts ticking now, and I'll put the person specification get back up. I'll maybe even underline a couple of bits, but get to it now. So it's worksheet 1, unit 25. I sent you the link in chat box. I sent you the link and the person specification in email. Okay, I'll stay on here. Have a go at that. Let me know how you get on. So what I want is now you've hopefully had a good chance to complete that. So on your so you've had a good go at these worksheets. So you found on the left hand items from that job description. So for example, let's say so you've shown good examples. That's exactly fine. The skills that match. You could have like Okay, so you might have something like that. I don't know what. So effectively, you're choosing things from the job description on the left-hand side. You're showing what skills you have that match, and then giving me examples of how you've used them in the workplace. So what I'd like is for you all to send me the worksheets numbers 1 and 3. So that's simply just a screenshot or a scan just for my files. Make sure you hold on to them and at the end of the unit post them all together as one. Tomorrow we'll just complete the worksheet 2 and that's the first section of that unit done. I just want us to complete the preparation part before we go on to the gym instructor work proper. So it's really important that we get this tidied up and all your work is able to be sent to me on Friday for this unit and also the units that we've gone through already. So 26, 27 and 55. So I'm going to stay online. I want you to crack on or finish off these tasks, worksheets numbers 1 and 3. And then if you've got gaps in the previous set units, make sure you get those done as well. So send me the work. I'll look forward to receiving it shortly and I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Okay, thanks a lot.